So let's talk about this a little bit. It's a notion that is permeating society more and more every day. The idea of algorithmic pricing, for instance, ride sharing apps introduce a lot of people to this idea of surge pricing. So, Josh Taylor, kick us off. Kind of give us a sense for how pervasive dynamic pricing is in the industry versus, just the static rate card that so many are still asking for.
Yeah, for years, FedEx has had a program called the Great Rates Program, and it's only for international packages, but it allows small shippers to call in and get like a spot quote to fill up empty space within their planes. And when there is that empty space, it is really hard to beat that rate. So that's kind of the beginning of the carriers introducing dynamic pricing. As capacity went down, the prices went up. There's a very clear correlation between it. If you listen to their earnings calls, they'll talk about things like the new UPS Deal Manager. They'll call that dynamic pricing. It's not what most people would think of as dynamic pricing. It doesn't change over time. It just it reacts to the current situation and provides a discount based on what it thinks is required to win. So I wouldn't really consider that to be very dynamic.
Yeah.
But the other thing they've talked about, said that they're piloting, is systematic day of week pricing. And this is where I think you start getting some real dynamic pricing happening with the carriers. And the idea here is that on days that are busier, they'll charge you more, and on days that are slower, they might save you a little money. My fear is that if you charge enough on the busy days, then you don't actually have to offer additional discounts to get people to shift their packages to those lower days or slower days. So the carrier just ends up with a more efficient network, therefore lower costs, and charging their customers more. Has a possibility to become a very one-sided thing if the carrier, wants it to be. I think there's a lot of opportunity to do it the right way, do it in a collaborative way. And that's part of why I'm excited to talk to Josh and Better Trucks today.
Yeah, so I think, Josh, that's really interesting. I think that we at Better Trucks look at dynamic pricing in a couple of different facets. Primarily from a discounting standpoint, if we're able to achieve additional efficiencies and better optimization, better density, then we want to share that savings with our clients because we've become more efficient. And so why not pass that along? We think that that's just core to our philosophy. I think that's really important. I think that there's also an aspect to dynamic pricing that can drive reliability through a network. And so I look at that in two different ways. The first is if we are, if we have line hauls that are not optimally full, kind of like your plane example with FedEx, what can we do to kind of offset some of that cost? And so we can do that if we can offer a cheaper price and take that package on and stack our trucks. That's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for everybody's pocketbook. It's a good thing for the environment. It's just a good thing that I'd love to see others doing as well. Secondarily, I think that when it does come to busier times, or if there are certain inputs such as bad weather, such as other delays that might happen in a network, if we feel that we're not going to be able to hit that customer promise the way that we're accustomed to, then we shouldn't take on that package. And as a shipper, you shouldn't want to give us that package, assuming that you have other folks that might be able to do that. And so from a gaining a goodwill standpoint and having a better relationship with a client, they want to see you successful. They want to see you perform the way that that you say you're going to and that you're accustomed to. And if you can't do that, they want to find somebody else. And so dynamic pricing, really helps achieve that as well. And so, to your comment earlier, Josh, I think there's several different levers that you can pull in order to achieve a true dynamic pricing, I should say. Some of that is in the form of a bid price exchange. Some of that is in terms of, what costs are you looking to realize savings in? And some of those might be from a base rate standpoint, some of those might be from a transit time standpoint, some of those might be from some of the line items that you might see from a surcharge standpoint. And I think that overall, what we're trying to do with dynamic pricing, aside from kind of help our network achieve better efficiencies, is to take this cost savings that we're able to realize and generate and pass it on to our client, because in turn, that's something that their customer wants to see. And especially if you can do it from a timing perspective or from a time and transit standpoint that creates better goodwill or more goodwill, then why not? And so that's kind of how we've designed our form of dynamic pricing. It's constantly changing. It's constantly looking at various inputs. It's constantly looking at supply and demand and capacity throughout the network. And that's something that, to Dan's point, the Ubers of the world do. This ski companies do with lift tickets on occasion. Airlines do it all the time. And so that's kind of what we're focused on, and that's what we've been building at Better Trucks.